Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Exclusive. Is he beat? Tony's rain-soaked Paydirt on next gold rush. On the next gold rush, water and the annoyance of weather are at the forefront of miner Tony Beat's mind. When it rains, Beats cries poor as the flow of work halts and the grousing, Dutch style begins. Tony's losing gold-rich pay from the wall cut through his only running wash plant, Mike's trommel, but heavy rain is flooding the cut and soaking the pay. Tony likens the pay to building materials like cement, and if you have ever lifted a bag of dry cement, you know this is not an easy job. In TV show's Ace exclusive clip, we see that the Dutchman and his crew are moving this wet cement, which means they are not processing gold. Now, Tony is working against stacked fuel costs, labor costs, and time as the gold mining gods give him the business this season. The rain needs to end for Tony Beats. Water has been an issue for Tony Beats and his crew the entire season. This episode follows last week when a broken trommel plate put a massive dent in the day's pay and gold tally. Tony is driving a colossal dozer and is not happy he is dealing with rain again. But he says, "We can get it, Paydirt, to the feeder that's about it when it turns wet. We are pretty much trying to move wet cement around. That's how bad it gets sometimes." His son Michael explains the situation. It's hard to get in and out of the cuts because it's so slippery it costs a lot of time, and so it costs Tony a lot of money. Tony won't quit and adds, "Yeah, it's *****ing the rain again. So give it a couple of hours and everything be a soup bowl again, that we gotta deal with it once and for all. Try and make a little ditch so all the water stays on one side, and unless you drain most of the cut, we're going to pump all the water out, and we're going to put a proper drain in the cut so we can actually get our Paydirt out of here." Ness has been going hard to bank 2,000 ounces. He shut down his wash plant Monster Red and is in the hole for a couple $100,000. Will he find the best Paydirt under all the overburden he is slinging? He believes the payfield is massive, and his team is still behind him at Rally Valley. Everything is at stake, but the gold mining gods seem to favor the hardworking Ness this season. The roaring engines, the clash of metal on rock, and the relentless pursuit of the motherlode. This is the world of Gold Rush. But this season, one man's unyielding battle against nature might prove to be his biggest challenge yet. Tony Beats, the king of the Klondike, has faced it all, but the latest onslaught of relentless rain threatens to put his entire operation underwater, literally. ###, the storm that changed the game. The season was already off to a rocky start. Tony, with his signature cowboy hat and no-nonsense attitude, had staked everything on a new piece of ground, a stretch of Paydirt that could be the richest find of his career. But nature had other plans. Torrential rains have turned the once promising land into a waterlogged nightmare. Rivers swelled, creeks overflowed, and the very ground beneath the heavy machinery began to soften, threatening to swallow trucks and excavators whole. The Beats crew had dealt with adversity before, but this was something different. The rain was unrelenting, and it wasn't just a storm. It was a deluge that could make or break Tony's season. Every drop that hit the ground seemed to mock his ambition, turning gold-laden Paydirt into a slurry of frustration and lost opportunities. ###, mud, sweat, and fears. Down in the pit, the mood among the crew was tense. Tony, usually the picture of stoic resolve, was seen pacing along the edge of the mine, eyeing the waterlogged mess below. The pit, once a beacon of golden promise, now looked more like a swamp. The rain hadn't just slowed the operation, it had brought it to a grinding halt. Digging for gold was hard enough, doing it knee-deep in mud was near impossible. For Tony, every hour lost to rain is thousands of dollars washing away. The once mighty dredge, his pride and joy, sat idle, unable to operate in the flooded terrain. The crew, caked in mud and soaked to the bone, kept a weary eye on the skies. Every shovelful of muck was a reminder of how quickly fortunes can turn in the Yukon. #### a gamble on a miracle. But Tony Beats isn't the kind of man to back down from a fight. Known for his gritty determination and a stubborn streak that's as wide as the Yukon River, Tony wasn't about to let a little rain ruin his season. As the storm clouds loomed, he gathered his crew for a game-changing decision. With a quick nod and a plan that would make lesser men hesitate, he committed to an all-or-nothing gamble. Pump the water out, reinforce the pit, and keep digging. This move wasn't without risk. The cost of pumping the water alone was astronomical, not to mention the added expenses of repairing waterlogged equipment and reinforcing the unstable ground. But Tony's philosophy has always been simple: high risk, high reward. As the pumps roared to life, spitting out torrents of water back into the swollen rivers, Tony's eyes never left the ground. He was hunting for Paydirt, and he wasn't leaving without it. ###, the crew's breaking point. For the Beats crew, the rain wasn't just a nuisance, it was a relentless adversary. Morale was at an all-time low, with sleepless nights and backbreaking work wearing them down. Every dig seemed futile, as water constantly seeped back into the pit. The once solid ground had turned into quicksand, threatening to trap equipment and crew alike. Tony's daughter, Monica, usually a powerhouse on the site, struggled to keep the team motivated. She knew that every minute spent battling the elements was crucial, but even her optimism was starting to wane. The crew's resolve was tested as they worked through night and day, enduring the deafening roar of rain and the constant churn of mud underfoot. ###, the Paydirt Showdown. As the rain continued, the stakes grew higher. Tony's gamble had paid off in small ways. Water levels were dropping, and the pumps were holding, but the ultimate test was still ahead. Finally, after weeks of fighting the elements, a break in the weather offered a glimmer of hope. The clouds parted just long enough for the crew to make a significant push. Tony stood at the edge of the pit, staring down at what might be his season's saving grace. With a nod, the excavator swung into action, its bucket digging deep into the ground. There, amidst the mud and water, lay the unmistakable glimmer of Paydirt. The crew erupted in cheers, their spirits lifted by the sight of gold. But it wasn't over yet. The Paydirt needed to be washed and processed, and with the unstable conditions, every step was fraught with challenges. The rain might have let up, but the damage was done. Tony's machinery groaned under the strain, and every load of dirt was a gamble. Would it hold gold, or had the water washed it away? ###, a season on the brink. The next episode promises to be a nail-biter as Tony Beats races against time to salvage what he can from his rain-soaked claim. Viewers will watch in suspense as the Beats crew fights tooth and nail to turn a washed-out season into a golden opportunity. With every ounce of gold pulled from the Paydirt, Tony inches closer to victory, but the threat of more rain looms large. Tony's relentless pursuit of gold in the face of adversity is a testament to his indomitable spirit. He's been knocked down before, but never counted out. This season is shaping up to be one of his toughest yet, but if there's one thing we know about Tony Beats, it's that he won't go down without a fight. ###, the final verdict: is he beat? The question on everyone's mind remains: is Tony Beats finally beat? The rain has tested his operation in ways even he didn't anticipate, pushing his crew to the brink and turning the once promising ground into a battle zone. But Tony isn't one to walk away. He's proven time and time again that he's willing to do whatever it takes to come out on top, rain or shine. As the season unfolds, fans will be glued to their screens, watching as Tony battles not just for gold, but for redemption. In the end, it's not just about finding Paydirt. It's about proving that even when the odds are stacked against you, the drive to succeed can push you through the storm. Will Tony's rain-soaked Paydirt pay off, or will this season mark the end of his reign in the Klondike? One thing's for sure, when it comes to Tony Beats, the fight is far from over. Hope you enjoyed this creative exclusive. Let me know if you want any tweaks or additions.